in need of a wash. G'day folks, and welcome back to the channel. And as you can see out here, the sun has decided to come out to play. So guess what? Beef Week's coming up on the weekend. It's now late May 2022. It is time to get the car washed and detailed. And let me tell you, it is no small undertaking. It is a red car. It fades very quickly in the sun, and that's why it's in the garage. So let's go and have a look. It's a red car. So taking a quick look at it, it's in need of a wash. I've got some polishing stuff to put on it and give it a detail with a little bit later on, but today it's just about washing it. The forecast is for a little bit more sunshine toward the end of the week and the weekend, so I'm hoping that's going to come true. Right now I'm just thankful it's not actually raining, because that's just all it seems to do around here at the moment. It just hasn't stopped. So we've got a break in the weather right now, and I'm going to make the most of it, so let's get into it. I gotta say, I'm rather lucky that I decided to wash the car when I did, because 15 minutes later, this is what the weather's like now. It started to rain, or just shower a bit, but this won't last. But this is this has been pretty much what it's like every day, almost since November, when this La Nina started. It's just been shower after shower after shower, and yeah, it just hasn't really stopped. So not really happy about it, but kind of glad that I got the car washed when I did, because that was a nice little window. Okay, so now the car is washed, now comes the delicate part. So here I have an assortment of polishing things and car care bits and pieces, but the part we're going to focus on now is this. This is a heavy polishing pad from Logic, and I've been assured that this one is the one to use for the conditions that my car kind of has right now. It's not really that bad in the paint, but it just doesn't bring up the shine like it used to. So what I want to do is try and bring that back. Something similar to these panels here. So the door and the front right fender are the result that I want to bring up, and I want to bring the hood or the bonnet back to that kind of shine if I can. Now the roof isn't too bad. Let's have a little bit of marring here and there, but you can kind of see the difference between door and the rear of the car when you come over this way. It's not immediately obvious, but when you get up close to it, you can actually see it. So the rest of the car is pretty much the same condition as the rear backwards, and we're not too happy with that, so we're going to try and rectify that as much as we can. Sonax Profiline. Now again, I've been given the assurance that this is the one I'm supposed to be using for this particular job. And then afterwards we have, that's a product called Ethos Pro Ceramic Wax, and I have a polishing pad for that as well. Not exactly a polishing pad, but it is an an ultra soft finishing pad. So it's the red pad from Hex Logic. And I've got a dual action polisher here to do the job as well. So it's just your generic eBay job, but apparently it's as good or sometimes better than the really basic ones. It's got a fairly big excursion. Yeah, we'll see how we go with that. So what I plan on doing is exactly the same as yesterday, where I set up the GoPro for a time lapse, and we're going to see what exactly is the deal with the polishing of this car. I've got a few hours to spend on it, so let's get into it and see what kind of results turn up. Now, as it turns out, I'm going to have to do the time lapse in multiple locations behind me, because back there, just on the freezer just over my right ear, there is the GoPro on a tripod. Now I'm going to have to move it across over behind me over to the garage door entrance, and that's pretty much how it's going to go, because the time lapse doesn't allow for a super wide shot. It only allows wide, so it doesn't quite cover the whole car. So let's get into it. Okay, we started on the polish, and this is the kind of result that I'm looking for. You can actually see right into the paint there. Now, it's not perfect, I don't think it ever will be, but it's definitely brought up the clarity and the shine there. So we've got our time lapse going on up there, which is only just finished. You can just see that in shot. And the roof is pretty much done, except for the A-pillars, which need a little bit of bit more close attention. I don't think the machine polish is actually going to get in there and do it properly without getting the black parts, which will affect the finish. So up here, it looks like we're pretty well done. It's actually a pretty good finish. Not quite done yet. We're still going to apply the ceramic glaze over the top, but this is the basis of which we've got to work, and I think that's actually pretty good considering the condition it was in before. And now the condition that the polisher is in, well, there's a different story. That's mostly red. Kind of at a bit 50-50 situation there. You need to hand treat some things and then machine treat the others. A little bit tricky is knowing what's got to go on where, because stuff like this down here, which is actually a little bit more curved than what you can see, it's got little crevices and indents, and you kind of got to get in there somehow. And machine polisher, I think maybe even a 4-inch head might do it, but this, even this with a 5-inch, you know, it's a little bit too large. So what I'm going to do now is give this a bit of a treatment. What I'm going to do is try and make this a thing in between the panels. So when I finish one section or one door or one panel, I'm going to give this a bit of a treat with the Chemical Guys polishing pad cleaner. It's supposed to treat it and bring it back to like new, supposedly, but you can't help wear, and that's what you get with a bit of friction, and that's what a foam pad does. I mean, it tries to disperse the friction and the heat through the pores and the little exits that this thing's got around the outside there. That's where all the heat and the excess air goes. But still, you're going to get a bit of build up. I mean, it actually feels quite cool to the touch right now, so that's only just finished. But we're going to give it a bit of a treatment and we're going to continue on after that. Alright, so that is the result after the bit of a rinse out that I gave it, and that's with the chemical guys stuff. Now, it's not perfect, but I wouldn't expect it to be. But it took a little bit of a rinse through application, and a turbo dry on the highest speed, and yeah, it's come up pretty well. So that'll need a little bit of a drying time around the outside because she's still a bit wet, but that shouldn't take too long out in the sun, even though it is nearly winter here and there's not much sun in the day, let alone while we've got a break in the clouds. So we'll just hope the sun stays out for a little bit longer and we can get this dried up and continue on with the rest of the car. So after about 15 or 20 minutes in the afternoon sun, she's dry as a bone and she's ready to go again. This time I believe I'll be doing possibly the boot, and after that I'll be doing the bonnet, which will need a little bit more of a bit of attention to detail. The flat surfaces I believe I'm going to do with the green pad, which is a heavy polishing pad, and the other surfaces I'll be doing with this white pad. So medium polishing pad. So that's all I believe I'll need for the vertical surfaces like the doors, the fenders, the upright parts of the bumper, etc, etc. Okay, now the flat surfaces of the rear of the car have just been done, and the gloss kind of speaks for itself. That's pretty. And the top part of the bumper, a bit hard to get into, but again, I need a smaller pad to get in there and do it properly, but that's a very nice shine. Alright, now here is the first treatment with the Sonax Profiline EX406. So as you can see at the bonnet, well, I think the results kind of speak for themselves. I mean, there is some areas which are obviously not going to be brought back. Some of them, there's a lot of paint chipping and marring and stuff that requires a bit more paint correction than what this stuff is able to do. But for the time investment and the comparison between that over here, which is untouched, and over here, which you can only just tell in this light, I'll try and bring it over this way. There's quite a difference. So that's been brought up very nicely. The clarity in the shine, I mean, look at the reflection of the trees. This is untouched, and that, yeah, quite a difference there. So pretty happy with what it can do on the bonnet, which was the real test. The roof wasn't too bad. The boot, that was, yeah, pretty good. But this was the real tester. If it was going to work anywhere at all, it would work here, or it wouldn't work as it was claimed. So right now I'm going to finish off doing the other half of the bonnet, another couple of swipes, and that should be about it for today. And we'll get started on the vertical surfaces on another pad, probably the white pad, tomorrow, and we'll get all this stuff cleaned up. And that is the bonnet and the headlight panels done, as well as the top part of the front bar. And the gloss, well, again, there's no way you can actually get rid of some of the paint chips or scratches or heavy marring that's already in there, but for whatever is still there, it's done pretty well. Not bad. Well, colour me surprised, folks. It's another fine day up here on the north coast, and it's day 3 of this automotive restore / detail, and we're going to get into where we left off yesterday with a little bit more of the sides getting done. And we're going to try that with a different pad, a lighter pad. Might get some ceramic glaze on it, and we'll try applying that as well afterwards. So we'll see how much we get done. Let's get back into it. Okay, we've done most of the left side of the car except for the front guard. So what I wanted to bring up here is the condition of this pad. Now that is supposed to be a light to medium polishing pad. Now, I'm sorry, this car doesn't have any clear coat, so it's just basically a 2-pack type paint job, and it's still taking off paint even with a polishing pad. It's not a cutting pad, so I'm just wondering why it's taking off so much paint. It just seems a little bit weird, that's all. Alright, so we've come into the evening now and time's been a little bit against me today, so I've got done what I can, which includes all of the left side, the back, the roof, the bonnet, which were all done yesterday, and most of the right side. So the bits I kind of had to leave, the panels, front right guard and the driver's door, they're pretty much as good as they're going to get because they were the last ones painted. I think if I had to do anything more, probably down the bottom of the side skirts down there, which probably need a little bit of doing, and I think that's about as much as I need to. I've started on a little bit of the wax. Here's the wax ethos, I don't know if you can see that well, there we go. And I've started on that with the wing mirrors. Comes up nice, but I had to give them a bit of a buff before I started with the wax. So the finish I'm not going to get all that fussy with because I can't do very much with the paint. So I've done all I can with what I can. But around the back, that looks sparkling. On the roof especially. That's beautiful. So we got a bit of wax to do, which I'm going to limit to the flat surfaces, so the bonnet, the roof and the boot lid, and possibly a bit of protectant that I'm going to use around the black parts. These areas around the sills, window door belts, maybe some tire black, some more protectant down on the separator line, plasticky rubber stuff, I don't know what you call that, maybe across the front. So mostly all the black stuff is where the protectant needs to go on, but that's about all it needs. So it's come back a fair bit, you know, it was quite a bit far gone. I hadn't had very much love in quite a while, so all this stuff has been done now and I'm pretty happy with the results so far. So we will see just how much I get done tonight and what else I can't really get done and maybe needs to be done maybe tomorrow morning before I go. So this is another example of how easily the paint is coming away. This has been given a very light go with the Ethos Ceramic Wax Pro, and you can see where the grey stuff is around the edges, which is the wax, and the red stuff in the middle, that's paint. Now that shouldn't be happening as far as I know. I want to know why, but I think it's just a fact that the car doesn't have a clear coat and it's been 10 odd years, at least 12 maybe, since it's had a respray, and it hasn't had the nicest conditions, so I'm trying to bring it back as much as I can, but I don't want to lose more paint in the process. So in order to manage my time a little more efficiently, what I've done is given the whole rear end, the boot, the winglets, everything a wax, and what I'm doing now while I'm waiting for that to dry, besides making a video update, is putting the protectant around the black. Anything else that's under the bonnet as well, which I haven't got to yet. Putting some tyre black on, doing the insides, getting the seats done with a bit of vinyl cleaner, and maybe treat the steering wheel to a bit of leather cleaner. So that's all while I'm waiting for this wax to dry, which takes about 20 minutes. After that, it'll be the roof, which will be done via our friend DA Polisher. And then after that will be the bonnet, and that should be it for the night.